April 9, 2024, News Report 1. On April 9, 2024, a spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in the United States stated that recently, the interrogation of Chinese citizens entering the United States has become increasingly severe. This includes Chinese government officials visiting the United States who have also been interrogated and harassed. The spokesperson stated that according to incomplete statistics, from July 2021 to the present, more than 300 Chinese citizens have been repatriated by the U.S., including more than 70 students. The spokesperson pointed out that in December last year, a Chinese visiting scholar was interrogated by U.S. border personnel for 10 hours and was eventually deported and permanently banned from entering the country. In February this year, another Chinese visiting scholar was detained for 22 hours upon entry at San Francisco International Airport, had their visa revoked, was deported, and banned from entering the U.S. for 5 years. The Chinese embassy in the United States has lodged protests with the U.S. State Department, the White House, the National Security Council, and the Department of Homeland Security, opposing the U.S.'s thorough checks on Chinese citizens. Although border checks are part of national sovereignty, and even holding a visa does not guarantee entry, the Chinese government is angry about this. The Chinese embassy has previously stated that the U.S. conducts interrogations of Chinese students entering the country, but now even Chinese government officials are being interrogated, which may lead to anger at the Chinese embassy. This may reflect the tense situation in Sino-U.S. relations. The U.S. has not shown enough respect for Chinese government officials and continues to conduct thorough checks, which could have diplomatic implications. News Report 2. According to TASS, the radiation level in the Russian Far Eastern city of Beryozovsky, known as Khabarovsk in Russia, reached its highest level of 5.99 microsieverts on April 5, which is 30 times the safe level. The area has been put on high alert. Normally, levels below 0.2 microsieverts are considered safe, while levels above 2.0 microsieverts can cause cancer. The current level of 5.99 microsieverts is 3 times the normal value. The source of the radiation is reported to be 2.5 kilometers from residential buildings, 30 kilometers from the Chinese border, 68 kilometers from the Russian city of Komsomolsk-on-Amur, and 700 kilometers from Harbin. The Russian government stated that there is an increase in the radiation level at the Beryozovsky industrial area, where a scrap metal collection center is located. The local government has blocked off the industrial area, prohibiting entry, and experts are searching for the source of the radiation. Videos online show Russian experts wearing nuclear protective suits measuring the radiation level of garbage piles in the industrial area, with the detectors showing a rapid increase in toxins, peaking at 5.99 microsieverts. 2 street areas in Boli city have higher radiation levels than other areas and have been designated as restricted areas. The staff of the Chinese Consulate General in Boli city have urged Chinese citizens not to enter the restricted areas. The radiation incident has attracted widespread attention, but it is not yet known whether Chinese media have reported on it. News Report 3. Reuters reported that on April 9, dozens of Filipino citizens protested outside the Chinese embassy in the Philippines, condemning China's attacks on Filipino vessels in the South China Sea. Protesters chanted slogans demanding China's withdrawal and trampled and tore up a portrait of Chinese President Xi Jinping. A spokesperson for the New Patriotic Alliance of the Philippines said they want to convey to the Chinese government the message to withdraw from the South China Sea, dismantle illegal structures, acknowledge the 2016 International Court ruling, and stop harassing Filipino fishermen and supply ships. Agence France-Presse reported that tensions between China and the Philippines have escalated in recent months, with China frequently obstructing Filipino vessels from providing supplies to Ionjin Shoal. The latest incident occurred on March 23, when a Chinese patrol boat used water cannons to attack Filipino vessels in the South China Sea, resulting in 3 Filipino soldiers being injured. Admiral Aquilino expressed that if China's attack on Filipino vessels and aircraft leads to casualties, the Philippines can invoke the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty to request U.S. intervention. On April 11, U.S. President Biden, Japanese Prime Minister Kishida Fumio, and Philippine President Marcos will hold a trilateral summit to discuss security issues, including joint patrols by the U.S., Japan, and the Philippines, military assistance from the U.S. and Japan to the Philippines, and security in the Taiwan Strait. It is believed that this summit is of historical significance and will upgrade the security alliance between the U.S., Japan, and the Philippines, establishing a new model in the Indo-Pacific region, known as the New Micro-Edge Security Framework. The Micro-Edge Security Framework is a concept proposed by the Asia-Pacific Research Center at Stanford University to strengthen security cooperation between the U.S. and its allies. Unlike traditional multilateral systems, the micro-edge system is more flexible and can reach consensus and build trust in a shorter period. News Report 4. Hainetsa News reported that the U.S. and South Korea navies concluded their joint military exercise near Pohang, South Korea, on April 9. The South Korean Navy stated that the 9-day exercise aimed to train the U.S. and South Korean navies in procedures and tactics to clear obstacles to safe navigation and to counter maritime security threats. The exercise particularly enhanced joint capabilities against complex mine warfare and the ability to protect important ports and sea lanes. For the first time, the U.S. sent an expeditionary mobile base ship to participate in the exercise. This ship is very large, weighing tens of thousands of tons, and is called the Miguel Keith. The Miguel Keith is currently the largest conventional powered vessel in the U.S., providing a floating helicopter landing pad to support military operations. Why would the U.S. want to create such an expeditionary mobile base? It is cheaper than establishing a military base, which is very costly and requires geopolitical costs, investment, and maintenance costs. Now the U.S. has come up with a solution, directly building a large base and turning it into a warship, which can be directly deployed when support is needed. This warship is a very special vessel. In addition, the Southern Theater Command of the PLA issued a statement on Weibo, saying that on April 7 and 8, the command organized sea and air forces to conduct combat patrols in the South China Sea, but did not disclose specific locations, times, and scales. Some people suspect that this may be just talk without actual action. The U.S., Japan, and the Philippines conducted joint military exercises in the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone, and on April 14, they will hold a joint maritime exercise in the South China Sea, the first such exercise in the South China Sea. News Report 5. U.S. Secretary of Defense Austin, UK Defense Minister Sharps, and Australian Defense Minister Merles issued a joint statement on April 8, stating that they recognize Japan's capabilities and its close security partnership with the US, UK, and Australia. Therefore, the three countries are considering cooperation with Japan on the second pillar of AUKUS. The second pillar of AUKUS focuses on advanced combat capabilities such as artificial intelligence, underwater drones, and hypersonic missiles. Chief Cabinet Secretary Lin Yoshimasa of Japan stated on April 9 that AUKUS is beneficial for maintaining peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region, and Japan hopes to continue to promote cooperation with AUKUS to strengthen Japan's defense capabilities. However, Australian Prime Minister Albanese stated on the same day that due to differences between Australia, the US, and the UK on including new members, AUKUS may cooperate with Japan on specific technological projects, but Japan will not become a new member. Diplomats said that Australia is concerned that if AUKUS includes new members, it will make the task of obtaining nuclear-powered submarines more complex and less important than before. News Report 6. Xinhua News Agency reported that Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov held talks in Beijing on April 9. Xi Jinping stated that China is willing to maintain close communication with Russia and discussed various topics. The Russian Foreign Ministry issued a press release stating that Lavrov's visit to China is in preparation for Putin's visit to China and discussed various topics. Lavrov arrived in Beijing on April 8 and met with Wang Yi on the same day, expressing that the relationship between the two sides is good. On the other hand, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken expressed concern about Chinese assistance to Russia during the NATO foreign ministers' meeting on April 3 to 4. Blinken stated that China's assistance to Russia's military industry is worrying, including providing tools, advice, and technical expertise. China's assistance not only helps Russia's aggression against Ukraine but also poses a threat to other countries. Informed sources said that Blinken's warning was very clear, and the U.S. is concerned about this. U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen also stated in Beijing that any Chinese companies supporting Russia will face serious consequences. Xi Jinping and Biden spoke on April 2, with Biden stating that the U.S. cannot continue to align with Russia. The relationship between China, the U.S., and Russia is further developing, and the next stage between China and the U.S. will be dominated by economic issues. The trade war between China and the U.S. has led China to choose to align with Russia, which is seen as a confrontational posture. News Report 7. British Foreign Secretary Cameron visited the United States on April 8, first visiting Florida before meeting with the U.S. government. On the evening of April 8, he met with former President Trump. This is the first meeting between Trump and a senior British official since Trump left office in January 2020. Sources said that Cameron and Trump discussed topics such as the war in Ukraine, the war in Ethiopia, and the future of NATO. Cameron will meet with U.S. Secretary of State Blinken, National Security Advisor Sullivan, and members of both parties in Congress on April 9. Cameron will urge the U.S. to quickly pass a $60 billion budget to support Ukraine. The British Foreign Ministry stated that Cameron will emphasize to U.S. officials that despite European countries contributing more than half, U.S. support is still crucial and irreplaceable. Currently, European countries have pledged $184 billion to support Ukraine. Cameron will also reiterate the importance of continuing to pressure Russia economically and provide necessary support to Ukraine. These facts are related to whether Ukraine can hold its ground this year and launch a counterattack next year. The U.S. House of Representatives has stalled the aid bill for Ukraine, mainly led by the McCarthy faction in the House. Cameron may be persuading Trump and lobbying him. On the other hand, the UK is also preparing for a Trump victory in the next election. News Report 8. Senate Republican leader McConnell called for measures to restrict TikTok and force ByteDance to divest TikTok on April 8. He stated that TikTok is threatening the security of tens of millions of American families and demanded that ByteDance divest from TikTok, which is completely in line with the Constitution and laws. A month ago, on March 13, the U.S. Securities passed a bill requiring ByteDance to sell TikTok. Since then, the Senate has begun to consider how to handle this bill. On April 5, Senate Democratic leader Schumer stated that the Senate will make progress on the TikTok bill in the coming weeks and months. Schumer's statement did not specify his specific position on TikTok. On April 8, Senate Commerce Committee Chairman Cantwell stated that she will meet with Schumer and Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Warner to develop a plan to advance the TikTok bill. A CNBC poll released at the end of March showed that Americans' attitudes toward TikTok have changed, with half of Americans concerned that TikTok poses a threat to national security and support for ByteDance to sell TikTok. News Report 9. Deloitte's China Capital Market Services Department released a report on global IPOs in the first quarter on April 8. The report shows that the IPO market in China and Hong Kong continues to be weak. In the first quarter of this year, there were only 12 IPOs in Hong Kong, a 33% decrease, raising only $4.7 billion, a 30% decrease year-on-year, hitting the lowest point since 2009. Hong Kong ranked 5th in global IPO rankings last year but dropped to 10th place this quarter. The Shanghai Stock Exchange raised $16.2 billion, down from first place last year to 5th place. The Shenzhen Stock Exchange also raised $16.2 billion, down from second place last year to 7th place. Deloitte has also lowered its forecast for new IPOs in China this year, expecting 115 to 155 new IPOs with a total fundraising of $139 billion to $166 billion, a 40% to 60% decrease from previous estimates. The global IPO ranking is led by the New York Stock Exchange, followed by Nasdaq, Switzerland ranks third, and India ranks fourth. News Report 10. Radio Free Asia reported that former Taiwanese President Ma Ying-jeou's visit to China has turned from a peace trip to a crying trip. It was reported that on April 9, Ma Ying-jeou visited the Badaling Great Wall and sang the anti-Japanese song, The Great Wall Ballad, with students on the wall. The lyrics include a passage, "Outside the Great Wall is my homeland, the hearts of compatriots nationwide are the same." This is the fourth time Ma Ying-jeou choked up during his visit to China in 9 days, including at Sun Yat-sen's former residence on April 2, the Huanghuaging 72 Martyrs' Tomb on April 3, and the Emperor's Worship Ceremony on April 4. However, he did not shed tears for the disasters of the Taiwanese people. DPP legislator Wang Meihui criticized Ma Ying-jeou for only saying a sentence of hoping for safety when a strong earthquake occurred in Hualien, Taiwan, on April 3, while he was immersed in reminiscing about history and legends that day.